Hello, Bleacher Report listeners. My name is James Hill. I run the YouTube channel MrBucsNation, where we talk about all things Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And guess what? That's what we're doing in this live stream today on the Bleacher Report app. If you guys are new to the Bleacher Report app, thank you guys so much for coming on here and checking this out. Make sure you check out everything else on the Bleacher Report app for not just everything Tampa Bay Buccaneers, not just everything NFL, but everything sports related in general. It's a great time. And speaking of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, some very interesting developments have happened regarding the Buccaneers' standings, not just in the NFC South, but in the entirety of the NFC playoff picture as well. And that is where we are going to go ahead and start off this video, so to speak. Let me go ahead and dive right into it because, man, oh man, we have a very, very interesting situation for the Bucs. If you guys look here, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are first place in the NFC South. First place. How did this happen? Well, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won versus the Atlanta Falcons yesterday. We'll be diving a little bit into that game here in a moment, but with that win, the Buccaneers are tied with the Atlanta Falcons, with the New Orleans Saints, all at a 6-7 record. However, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have tiebreakers over the Falcons and the Saints now due to winning against them in head-to-head matchups and whatnot, at least over the Saints so far. For this point with the Falcons, it gets a little bit trickier with some other tiebreakers and whatnot. But point being, so the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are first place yet again in the NFC South. The first time this has happened since going all the way back to week number 4. It's been a very, very long journey for the Buccaneers to get to this point, but they have finally gotten back to this point. If you can see there, they have won their past 2 and are now in possession of first place in the NFC South. But it wasn't easy. It was not easy to get first place in the South. As you guys can see, 29-25 was the score of the Atlanta Falcons game. It was just a tough game for both teams, right? These teams were just taking turns back and forth, gifting, essentially trying to gift the other the win. In the end, the Falcons made just a couple more mistakes than the Bucs, and it resulted in the Buccaneers getting the win in a very, very crucial game. If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did not win this football game against the Atlanta Falcons, you would be looking at an entirely different live stream today on the Bleach Report app from me. You really would have been. The Buccaneers would have fallen to 5-8. They would have been solely in third place behind the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints, because the New Orleans Saints won versus the Carolina Panthers. It would have looked bad. I mean, point blank, simple as that. It would have looked pretty tough. Okay, it would have looked like a pretty tough situation, but it was not the case. They were able to get the job done. They were able to get the win. And, again, just kind of diving into that game, there's a lot of different guys who stepped up in a lot of different situations. Chase McLaughlin hit a 55-yard field goal. That was phenomenal. Look, and he also hit a 38-yarder later on in the game. People are going to, doubt Baker Mayfield, but at the end of the day, he did have 3 total touchdowns. He had 2 passing touchdowns, the game-winning touchdown to Cade Otton as well. Certainly matters, and just is able to showcase the overall ability of what this offense was able to do when it mattered most. So that was notable, right? That was certainly notable. Baker Mayfield got the job done. Chase McLaughlin got the job done. Overall, this was just a good situation for the Bucs to be in terms of being able to go out there, being able to get a win. And look, was it pretty? No, I don't got to tell you guys that. It was not a pretty win per se for the Bucs. Again, it was a pretty ugly win. It was a situation where guys just did enough to get the win at the end of the day, right? But what matters most is they got the win, right? That's what matters most at the end of the day. And their first place in the NFC South. That's huge. That's huge. That's huge. I want to dive a little bit deeper into the point of this live stream, so to speak, because as you guys can see in the title, the Buccaneers control their destiny. What does that mean? What are we talking about whenever we say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers control their destiny? Well, I want to go ahead and dive into that right now to take a bit of a deeper look at what the heck we are talking about here. If we can go ahead and get the right screen, you take a look, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have won their last 2 games. And they're 2 very important games against division rivals in the Carolina Panthers and in the Atlanta Falcons. That certainly matters in terms of being able to get important wins. Of course, you're first place in the NFC South now. But, folks, the job's not done. Yes, the Buccaneers are first place in the NFC South. Yes, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got 2 very, very impressive wins. But this job is very, very far from done, man. It really is. And what do I mean by that? Well, you look at these last 4 games that the Bucs have here. It's not easy. And you have to win a couple of them. That's the honest to goodness truth. You have to win a couple of these games. You have the Green Bay Packers. You have the Jacksonville Jaguars. More importantly, you have the New Orleans Saints. You have the Carolina Panthers. Those are the games that are going to matter, those last 2 games. And just to kind of first dive into the Green Bay Packers, Jacksonville Jaguars, ideally, right, the Bucs win one of those 2 games. That's like, you're really doing a good job. You're kind of in the driver's seat at that point. Right now, you're semi in the driver's seat. If you're the Bucs, you're kind of sharing shotgun with the Atlanta Falcons. But if you win against the Green Bay Falcons or the Jacksonville Jaguars, you're in a really good position at that point. And those 2 teams are not easy to beat. The Green Bay Packers and the Jacksonville Jaguars are 2, I would say, playoff caliber teams, especially in the case of the Jaguars. Maybe not so much the Green Bay Packers, although the NFC North is, I wouldn't say up for grabs, because it seems like the Detroit Lions are going to be a team that should be getting that win. It should be getting that division. But the Packers are a wild card team, I would think. There's certainly a team that's going to be trying to make some noise in the wild card. Jaguars, they're trying to win their division. It seems like that's going to probably be the case. So, again, 2 playoff caliber teams here. Ideally, you beat one of them, right? Ideally, you beat one of them to give yourself as much cushion as humanly possible. If you win versus the Packers, you go in versus 7-7 versus the Jaguars, the Saints, and the Panthers. You're in a pretty good spot. I feel like right now, this is a division where you could win 8 games, maybe 9 games, and win this division. 8 games, it's a little bit of a toss-up at that point. If you win 9 games or 10, if you win out, I feel like you're pretty comfortably going to win the division, right? That's what I believe right now. That's what I feel like to be the case, to be the instance, and the Bucs have a chance to do that. But you're facing a Green Bay Packers team that's been making some noise, has been really good lately. You're facing a Jacksonville Jaguars team that is, been a bit up and down, all things considered. They've had some good moments. They've had some bad moments as well. The New Orleans Saints, look, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers swept them last year. They won earlier in the year. But for me, this is still an incredibly difficult team to face if you're the Bucs. The Saints, look, at the end of the day, the Saints are still trying to battle in for the lead in the division as well. Now, they don't have as much of an advantage as the Falcons or the Bucs, but they're still trying to scrap. They still have the same record as both of those teams. If they win one week, the Falcons and the Bucs lose, guess what? Saints are in first place at that point. So it is still a lot of work to be done. That's why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers control their own destiny, is because you got to continue to win some football games. Point blank simple as that. You've got to continue to win some football games. And it's not easy. You know, a lot of people even say look, at the end of the day, these are all NFL caliber football teams. No game's easy. The Bucs barely beat the Carolina Panthers the first time. So if you are somebody who's of the mindset of wanting to see the Buccaneers make the playoffs, wanting to see the Buccaneers win this division, it's not as simple as, oh, they beat the Falcons. They're in first place now. Boom. Simple as that. Okay, pack it up. The Bucs are going to cruise to the end here. No, it is still a neck and neck race with the Falcons, with the Saints. It's still incredibly close, folks. It really is. In all honest to goodness, it's still incredibly close in terms of the different types of things that can happen in this situation. And that's why they've got to start winning in these early games against Green Bay, against Jacksonville. Obviously, you take a look at New Orleans and Carolina. You have to win those games. Divisional games, you have to win those. I would say, thinking about it realistically, if the Bucs go 2-2 down the stretch, I think that this is a scenario where they can still make the playoffs, especially if they win versus New Orleans and Carolina. I think that definitely helps out their chances. If you go 3-1 down the stretch, you beat New Orleans, you beat Carolina, and then you beat either Green Bay or Jacksonville, I think it's a guarantee you're going to win the division at that point. And you'd be punching your ticket to the playoffs at that point. But, you know, not only is this the team itself kind of controlling their own destiny, but players now also are going to have to be in control of this, right? We're going to have to see guys step up in a big way. Like, you take a look at the box score of that Falcons-Bucs game again. Folks, that was close for comfort. That was way too close for comfort in these situations. And guys are going to have to step up. First guy, Baker Mayfield, he's going to have to step up. Absolutely. In that game yesterday, I mean, you take a look, the Buccaneers were outgained by so much. 432 yards to Tampa Bay's 290. Not great, folks. The offense has got to step up in a big way. Part of that's on Baker, right? Pretty significant, pretty decent part of that is on Baker. Finding wide open guys, not holding onto the football too long. These are all the different types of things that you need to see improve. One, if Baker wants to set the narrative of, can I be the guy for this football team? And two, if this offense wants to rebound and set the narrative of, we can be an offense that can go out there and win some football games. Right now, this is an offense that I don't think is going to necessarily lose you games by making mistakes and having turnovers and all these different types of things, but it's not going to be an offense. And look, Baker actually changed that narrative a little bit, getting the game-winning touchdown in this Atlanta Falcons game, but you got to see more consistency. You've got to see more just better play. In all reality, folks, the Bucs missed a lot of opportunities in this game. They really did. They had 3 or 4 punts in a row, and it was just a tough situation. So that's one thing that's got to improve if you want to control your destiny. If you want to really make a run at the playoffs, is you got to see better from the offense than what we saw yesterday. What we saw versus the Carolina Panthers versus what we saw in the Indianapolis Colts game. Like, you need to see more from this offense. And look, things are getting better in some ways. Take a look at this. 37 carries, 148 yards, and a touchdown rushing. That's a good improvement. And I will say this, Rachaad White has been looking very good the past couple of weeks. You take a look at the past 3 games, folks. What is this? I mean, 100 rushing yards against the Colts, 84 against Carolina, 102 against Atlanta. What is this? 31-yard touchdown against Atlanta as well for Rachaad White. Like, this isn't the Bucs rushing attack that we know and don't necessarily love. This is the good improvements that you need to start seeing from this offense, right? Now it's just all about balance. Because look, the running game past 3 weeks has been there. And Atlanta's got a pretty good defense. Colts have a pretty decent run defense, all things considered, and Rachaad White's looking and getting the job done past couple of weeks. You got to compliment that now. A lot of that goes back to what I was talking about with Baker Mayfield, where you do need to see more from this passing attack moving forward. That's getting Mike Evans involved. That's getting Chris Godwin involved. Because if you can come out and showcase a balanced offense, like, you can win some football games. And you can really showcase that this is an offense that can go out there and really scrap in the playoffs. But you got to prove it. You got to take control. Because the rushing attack's been there. Love this, by the way. The rushing attack being there. This Rachaad White's looking like a guy who's battling to get into the playoffs. He does. Passing attack, not so much. Not so much. 144 yards, 2 touchdowns. A rushing touchdown from Baker as well. Right. And that's all well and good. But, you know, these past 3 games, take a look at it. It's 199 passing yards. 202 passing yards, 144 passing yards. Like, that's not blowing anybody away, you know. And Baker looked very different in the past, you know. Gosh, you even look at these past handful of games, the past 5 that the Bucs were playing in. Baker was showcasing some different stuff. 246, 278, 265, 237, 275. I know stats aren't everything, but Baker Mayfield and the Bucs need to showcase that they can pass this football, right? A ground and pound, taking control of the game is one thing, you know, a little bit to a certain degree, but you should have a good passing attack to complement it. And that's going to be a big thing. And I'm not saying this is like all terrible from Baker. Look, at the end of the day, they're winners of 2 in a row, and Baker didn't turn over the ball in a very, very crucial game. I'm going to give him great props for that. That's a fantastic job by Baker. But we do need to see a bit more. Do need to see a bit more in the passing game. I also want to take a look at this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, because there are some guys who are stepping up, right? There are certainly some guys who are stepping up. Antoine Winfield Jr., my goodness, this is a guy who's playing like one of the best safeties in the entirety of the NFL. This is combined stats here. It doesn't want to show us just the Tampa Bay Buccaneers stats, but Antoine Winfield Jr., 8 tackles, 4 solo, 1 quarterback hit, 1 forced fumble, 1 sack. That resulted in a safety that helped the Bucs win that game, by the way. This is something we've been seeing from Antoine Winfield Jr. week in and week out. Another guy who stepped up, Zion McCollum. 2 passes defended, 9 tackles, 1 forced fumble. And how about KJ Britt? 8 total tackles, 1 pass deflection, almost was an interception. These have been some of the guys who have been stepping up on the defensive side of things. And look, it's even give credit to a couple of other guys. Greg Gaines had a sack. Kalijah Cansey had a sack. That's good. Where you need to see some guys step up, where's a guy like Shaq Barrett been? Joe Tryon-Shoyinka did not look very good. I'm going to tell you guys that much. That was not a great game by Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. He got stiff-armed by Desmond Ridder en route to a potentially game-losing touchdown. Yaya Diaby's been looking pretty good, but you need to see more. Anthony Nelson, that's another guy. He had 5 total tackles in this game, but no sacks, no pressures, nothing like that. This is where you need to start seeing some guys step up on the defensive side of things. The pass rush has been there in some moments, but it's not consistent enough. You need to see consistent pass rush from this team. You need to. I mean, point blank simple as that. You've got to see consistent pass rush from this team to have success. And look, this is a pass rush that we've seen good things from in the past. Shaq Barrett's been able to get the job done in a lot of occasions. Yaya Diaby's had a lot of good moments this year. Vita Vea, I get he was hurt in this past game, but he's been, electric in a lot of moments. He's still the leading sacker on this football team. But this is going to be one of the more important units that we need to see step up in this scenario. It's for the Bucs to have success. Is you've got to see these guys step up in the pass rush, in defense in general. Like, these are a lot of different guys that you have to see step up for the Buccaneers to take command here. Point blank simple as that. Because the job's not over, folks. The job is not over. The Bucs still have a long, long way to go. They have a lot of improvements to make if they want to take a look at those 4 games that we looked at. You know, again, you have Green Bay next week. You have Jacksonville the next week after that. You have 2 important games against the Saints and the Panthers. Yes, it's great that the Bucs won, and that's awesome. Not discrediting that at all, but the job's not done. And they all know that. A lot of Bucs fans know that as well. We're just going to have to see if they can wrap it up here down the stretch, last month of play, and win this division and look to make the playoffs. And that's why they're in control of their own destiny, because it's up to them now to go down the stretch, get some wins, showcase what they can do. Guys, I've been James Hill with the MrBucsNation YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much for watching this live stream here on the Bleacher Report app. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the chat and in the comment section as well. It's been a lot of fun here on the Bleacher Report app. Guys, again, go check out everything on the Bleacher Report app, not just for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, not just for the NFL, but all things sports related. You can find on the Bleacher Report app. It's a fantastic time. We have a great time doing this. Thank you so much to Bleacher Report for having me on for yet another live stream. It's been an absolute blast. Thank you guys so much for watching this live stream. Hope y'all enjoyed. And as always, guys, I'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, I've been James Hill. Goodbye for now. Go Bucs.